To break it down, what you probably want to see is a firm that's going to do agile development. And basically what that is you're going to receive working software in your hands on a very frequent basis. Here at Ksense, we're delivering working software to our clients every 3 weeks. Doesn't matter if you start the project tomorrow, you're getting something in your hands every 3 weeks. And we go in this iterative cycle because that's how you build really good software. It's very difficult to document the whole thing and then build it like you would build a house. It doesn't work that way. Businesses are evolving and web applications need to be flexible to changes in businesses and changes in requirements. So that's the first thing. And then everything kind of cascades behind that, right? If we're working in what we call sprints, these iterative cycles, then we want a communication cadence that supports that. And we like to recommend to our clients that they join our Slack or Microsoft Teams channels so that they can communicate with us in real time. We like to see at least a weekly meeting on the calendar with all of our clients. We just want to be able to check in and really become a partner to our clientele. So those are really good things to look for as well. And then you want to make sure that you're not required to do a lot of homework. You want to ask them, what's required of me? Well, here's the homework that you should be expected to do. You should be expected to know what your pain points are and be on a call once a week in order to talk about them with the business analyst. You shouldn't be asked to do more than that. You shouldn't be asked to do any mock-ups. You should not be asked to write any user stories or build any diagrams. You should get on that call once a week, explain your business, and then the business analyst will converse with you to decide how custom software can solve these problems. And then you need to decide on which one you think is the best given the trade-offs at play and sign off on that. I've heard of firms that try to offload a lot of the work onto you, and I think that that's unprofessional considering that these are careers that people go to school and study for, and so you shouldn't be expected to do that. And then lastly, the technology, I can't reiterate enough, and I think that's because I'm in the tech side of things. Make sure that we're using modern technology to build your applications. We'll be able to build them much faster and they'll be way higher performance.
Tell me a little bit more about the development process when it's done right. What does a typical development process look like from what we already talked about, where there's a little bit of consultation and communication and, a little bit of vetting around what technologies you'll use? Past that, how does the process go?
It depends on who you hire, and every agency is going to have a little bit of their own development process. But let me tell you the things that I think you should look for, and I'll also explain to you how we do it. So number one, you're going to want somebody who's doing agile development. I don't care what style of agile they do. It doesn't really matter. I think some are better than others personally, but they'll get you to the same place. And essentially what agile is it's the iterative process versus what we call waterfall, which is where you document the whole thing, you build it, and then you deliver it. It's very rare for a waterfall style project to be built very well. And when it is built well, it ends up being more of an agile process in the end, because what happens is it's delivered, it's not right, a change order needs to be submitted, there's negotiations over pricing, yada, yada, and then goes through the development cycle again, and it ends up just being a very inefficient style of doing agile. As inefficient as you can possibly get. You definitely want a firm that does the agile process and gives you software on a very frequent basis. The more you can get into it, the better, because that's more feedback you're going to be able to have, and you'll make sure that the project stays aligned with your vision through the whole thing. How we do it is that same way. We'll have our business analysts talk with you about the pain points, starting with the most impactful to the least impactful in terms of software to ROI, meaning what pieces of software will have the biggest impact, the biggest return on investment for your business. And those options will be presented to you in the form of what we call a user story. And these are little cards or small pieces of work that define what a user is able to do in the application. And they go something like, as a user, I can do this for this benefit, right? So as a user, I can log into the application so I can utilize the application. And you'll have a bunch of those, and those demonstrate what work is going to be done. Then what we do is we send that entire sprint, the grouping of user stories as a sprint, to our lead architecture engineer. And what they'll do is they will write up the best technical approach and on how to build it. So they'll look at them all and they'll say, hey, for this, we're going to need to set up this system, or we're going to want to utilize this technology. And then from there, it goes to you to approve it. So you'll get to read them all. You'll have already discussed the pros and cons of each one. And hopefully it aligns with exactly what you talked about with your business analyst. And it'll have the timeline to completion for that sprint, along with our estimate on how much money it's going to cost. And you'll get the option to approve it. Once you approve it, it goes to our developers. We like to have a couple of developers that are assigned to your project so that they can become familiar with not only your code base, but your business, understand your business processes, and really how the business runs and what the software is supposed to, the objective of the software from a high level. And then they do the development work. It goes through QA, and then it gets pushed into a staging environment. And that's where you'll get to use it and provide feedback. And then after that, the business analyst will show you it. They'll demo it for you, and they'll ask you what you think. And then they'll iterate. We'll do it again and again and again until the whole project's done.
Yeah, so I'm noticing there's quite a bit of back and forth throughout that process with the client, kind of checking in, making sure that they've got eyes on how their project is developing. But like you said, not putting the homework on them, right? They're staying as involved and aware as possible without taking all of their time to actually be the ones that are managing the project.
Absolutely. And when it comes to software, there's a million different ways to achieve that business objective. And so we want to make sure it aligns with the stakeholder, all of the stakeholders' visions of it, right? Does it align with how the end users are going to use it? And does it align with you as the business owner on how you see it improving your business? And I like to say that one of the reasons we do the iterative agile methodology is because writing software is a lot like if we were hired to write music. If you just wrote up a little piece of text on what you wanted us to write, what type of song you wanted us to produce for you, what are the odds that aligns with exactly what you have in your head? Probably very low. The odds get better and better the more times we check in. I can say, hey, look, listen to this melody, or listen to these 10 melodies. Which one do you like the most? Which of these snippets of lyrics do you like the best? And so it's really the same with software. And that's why as you browse the web or anytime you use any software, you'll notice this software is not very good to use and this software is really great to use. And really, what is the difference between great to use software and bad to use software? It's really, a lot of times it's the iterative process was skipped, right? They stopped looking at the needs of their stakeholders, and they decided to build based on whatever they felt like were the needs without any actual data to back that up.